Hi, 5A. So, today I'm going to do a quick review of adding fractions. When you add fractions, you first need to line it up, and I already lined them up, and you have your whole number, and you also have your fraction. Now, I'm going to show you one way that you can do this, and you can do this by adding the whole numbers up separately, and then adding the fractions separately. So the first step is I'm going to add my whole numbers, and I get 8. Now, looking at my fractions, we know that you need to have a common denominator, which means the denominators have to be the same. So we're looking here and we have an 8 and an 8. So we know it's broken into eighths. Now we can add our numerators, keeping the same denominator. So we add 1 plus 3 and we get 4 eighths. Now, the problem is you're going to learn about simplifying a fraction. It needs to be in simplest form, which means you break it down until it can't be broken down anymore. So in order to do that, you need to find a common factor. So in this case, we're looking at 4 eighths because this is not in simplest form. We need to find the greatest common factor known as GCF. So that's the greatest common factor. Once we have the greatest common factor, we can simplify the fraction. Now, we automatically know that this is not improper. It's not improper because the denominator is still bigger than the numerator, so we know it's in the right form. We just have to break it down so it's smaller. And in order to do that, we need to figure out what factors do these have in common and what is the biggest factor. It's already broken into 4 eighths, so we want to make it smaller. So I know that 4, you have 1, 2, 4. I know that, and I also know that 8 has 1, 2, 4, 8. So looking here, they have a lot of things in common. They have 1, which isn't going to change it at all. They have 2, and they have 4. If I were to break this down to the absolute smallest fraction that can't be simplified anymore, which maybe your object is to find a prime number, or maybe it's just to find something that they don't have in common. For example, 2/35 doesn't have anything in common, and 2 is prime, but 35 isn't. So they just need to make sure that they don't have anything in common. So I know that they have 4 in common, and it's the greatest, which is the biggest, common factor. So I know that 4 goes into 8 and 4. So if I were to divide by 4, because what you do to the top, you do to the bottom, it converts into 1/2. So I know that my answer is 8 and 1/2 because that's broken down into the simplest form. I cannot make this any smaller or any lower. It's already in simplest form, and this is the final answer. Okay, we're going to do one more. Okay, we're going to do 2 and 7/8 plus 3 and 5/8. Now, I already know that we're going to have a problem here. We're going to end up with an improper fraction because 7 plus 5 is 12. So we have 12 eighths and we have 2 plus 3, which is 5. And I know, 12 eighths cannot be broken, is too big. It needs to be broken down. So my 12 eighths, I need to think, okay, Rachel, how many times can 8 go into 12? Well, you can divide it out. 8 goes into 12 one time. One whole time, 8 goes into 12. So now I need to say, okay, now if 8 goes into 12 how many times, then you need to subtract 12 minus 8. And then you have to say, all right, so 12 minus 8 is 4. And that's what's left. So that has to go over your denominator. I have 4 left after I take out 1 whole. So since I took out 1 whole, I need to give that back here because I have to add it to my whole number. So now I have a whole number of 6, and we have 4 eighths left again. Now, we just answered this before, and we found the greatest common factor was 4. So I know that I have to divide each of these by 4, and that gives me 1/2. So my answer is 6.5. And that is broken down into simplest form. Okay, so when you're working, my suggestion is to draw out that fact families, write them out, circle the greatest common factor, and say, all right, this is my biggest factor. Now it's time for me to divide it out so I can get my final answer in simplest form. Don't forget, if you take out one whole because it's improper, you need to re-add it back to your whole number. A lot of you forget that step, and if you forget that step, you're going to be off in your answer. Okay, good luck, and I'll see you later. Bye.